They shipped us out on a merchant ship to Pearl Harbor, and as a gun crew, a 20 millimeter gun crew. And I got to Pearl Harbor, transferred to the USS Kenmore, which was my permanent ship after me. We were in actually 5 invasions, but we only got credit for 4, simply because the one island the Japanese had deserted when we got there, and they thought it was heavily fortified. And because we didn't have a fight there, we didn't get credit for that one. I don't even remember the name of the island. And I was in the invasion of Saipan, Guam, Tinian, Okinawa. The worst one for me was Guam, where I was an LCM coxswain. And that's you're head of the boat. You drive the boat, you command it. And you have a 2-man crew, and deckhand and an engineer. And we, at Guam, my first boatload to the beach, I dumped them. They started running out of the boat, and machine gun nest on the edge of the mountain there started mowing everybody down. As far as I know, nobody got out further than 40 or 50 feet from the boat. Then got ready to pull off of the reef, and I was hung up on it. So I had to stay there all that day and that night. And in the meantime, the battleships were blasting away at the pillboxes on the side of the mountain, trying to knock them out. But it was almost impossible unless they made a direct hit on one. And even then, sometimes it didn't knock them out. They were built with 16-inch concrete reinforcement. And or 20-inch concrete iron rod reinforcement. And they were using 16-inch guns to blast these pillboxes, but they wasn't having too much success. So I kept dumping boatload after boatload. And finally guys were getting a little further on the beach, a few. And by the next morning, I saw our men with flamethrowers. They had made it up the side of the mountain far enough. They took the flamethrowers and threw them into these pillboxes and fried them. And during the night, they were shooting at our boat all night long. And that's when I was talking to my engineer. I was sitting in my coxswain box, and my engineer was down in the engine room, and we were talking back and forth, and he motioned with his finger over his lips to shut up. And I stopped, and he got his, as best I remember, 30-30 on a 30 caliber rifle, and I think that's what it was. We had, each one of us had one. And he laid it up on the deck, stuck his head up there, just high enough that he could get his shoulders up there far enough to pull the trigger on his gun. And he sat there for about 15 or 20 minutes. And finally, at the end of 15 or 20 minutes, a head pops up at the side of the boat, right where he was at. Boy, he had his finger right on where the guy was at. He could tell by the guy coming up beside the boat, the water wasn't sloshing against the boat at that spot, so he knew where the guy was. When the gent raised his head up above the edge of the boat, he didn't even get far enough up to see my engineer. So he blew the top of his head off, and the guy's grenade went off in the water. He was getting ready to toss that right in the engine room of our boat. But when that gun blew the top of his head off, I guess he turned the grenade loose and went off right in the water right there at the edge of the boat. The thing most disturbing to me, I think, was where they had, the Japanese had taken some of our Marines and soldiers and hung them up on a rail. And they were hanging one guy by his thumbs, one by his big toes, and the other two by his testicles, hanging out in this hot sun till they died. Mm. That's how they tortures to death they went through. And if I sound a little bitter at Japanese, I am. I can't help it. I saw too much. Mm-hmm. There are people who say, well, our men did things wrong. Yes, I'm sure they did. But they never did anything like that, to my knowledge.